to Live Well, Work Well. We'd like to bring you best practices and innovative strategies in employee health and worksite wellness. My name is Deborah Ween. I am president and founder of Wellness Workdays, a Hingham-based firm. At Wellness Workdays, we provide programs and strategies for employees and companies across the country. Thank you for joining us. My first guest today is Courtney Hernandez. Courtney is a senior account manager with Wellness Workdays and a registered dietitian. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Our pleasure to have you. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in wellness.
Sure. So my original background is actually in secondary education and English, but when I graduated from Boston College, I decided that I wanted to pursue becoming a rowing coach. I was a rower in college, and that led me to becoming a rowing coach outside of college. I did that for a few years and spent a lot of time really thinking about how can I make my rowers faster, what should they be eating, and I spent a lot of time reading about nutrition and researching about nutrition, and it was at that time that I realized I really wanted to get more into the nutrition, wellness, fitness field, and that's when I started to pursue my master's degree in nutrition.
And then you became a registered dietitian.
Yes, at the same time through Tufts, I got my master's in science in nutrition, and then I became a registered dietitian while I was in grad school.
So from what you do on a daily basis, you're designing different programs for clients, whether it's nutrition, stress management, brain health, physical activity. Tell me a little bit about sort of how you go about deciding what kind of a program you're going to bring to employees.
There's actually a lot that goes into what we decide and what I decide to bring to employees. We like to really look at the research, what's current in the wellness field, what's current in science, what are the chronic diseases that are seen across the country, and also what's specific to each client. So we'll look at each client and say, you know, what's going on with the employees at this firm? Is it stress? Is it weight management? Is it physical activity? Is it all of the above? And then we'll try to work on programs that tailor towards their needs. But I think what is really important in wellness is to try to stay current. You know, no one wants to be told time and time again, oh, don't eat bacon double cheeseburgers. I think most people know that, right?
Is that well accepted at this
That's
point?
pretty well accepted, I think. So we try, you know, we have a new program out called Neurobics, and it's a brain fitness class, and just the way that we see dementia and Alzheimer's more and more prevalent in society, we now have a program, a class, an on-site class or an online class that people can learn about how to keep their brain healthy between making sure they're eating right, what specific nutrients are going to help with brain health, how much exercise they should be doing, getting adequate sleep, dealing with stress. I mean, all of these things factor into brain health, which people aren't necessarily educated about because it's such an up-and-coming field. So that's pretty exciting to be able to put a program like that together and then go out and bring it to the client and hopefully see employees really get excited about it and start to engage in it.
That's exciting. So when you think about sort of the areas that employees are asking about or thinking about, what do you think are the most common areas? I mean, I have my thoughts, but I'm curious what you think are.
I think what we always see is people want to lose weight and people want to get in better shape, and those two kind of go hand in hand. And what we are also seeing, I think, more and more these days is work-life balance, and along with that goes stress management. They kind of go hand in hand. But there's so many, working moms out there, working dads. They've got the kids at home. Maybe they even have, a grandparent that they're taking care of, an aunt, something like that. So now you've got the elder care factoring in. And that makes it hard for people to find the time to go out and buy the fresh fruits and vegetables, to make sure that they get in a workout every day. So we try to deal with the work-life balance aspect as well and give people some real tips to help them lead a healthy lifestyle while they're trying to juggle all of these other things on their plate.
Yeah, and I think stress is something that has become more and more prevalent, and my impression, and when I'm with clients, I'm getting the sense that companies are becoming more open to talking about stress. So maybe do you want to talk a little bit about that idea of how might you approach it with companies, or what do you think enables employees to sort of sit around in a conference room and talk more about some of the pressures they're experiencing?
Right. I still think stress is a hard one to tackle in the sense that a lot of employees might not want to admit to their boss or their manager, hey, I'm really stressed out, I need to go to this stress management class. So, we have a clever name for ours, which is Power Down the Pressure,
I love it.
which I think makes people feel, yeah, I'm not stressed out, I just kind of need to take a little pressure off, and it puts a different spin on it.
Is that the only class that I've allowed that doesn't have an acronym, do you think?
Yeah, it might be. Deborah really likes acronyms.
I'm still working on an acronym for our
Yes,
stress, but I
yes.
like the Power Down the Pressure.
So Power Down the Pressure is a good one. And once you get people in the room, I think, and they feel comfortable, and you set the tone that we're not here to judge anybody. We all deal with stress. We all deal with it differently. How can we help each other? What can I bring to you as an instructor to help you learn? But I try very hard in all of my classes not to ever pass judgment on somebody, and to make everyone feel comfortable speaking about things and bringing their issues out. And usually once you get that one person who starts talking,
Yeah.
other people will follow suit.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's become something that companies are now willing to face, whereas I want to even say 5 or 7 years ago, I don't think that they did.
Right.
I remember teaching the Power Down the Pressure course, where at the end of the 6-week class, I remember one specific employee, saying to me, well, I made some very small changes, and one of which was, when I'm stressed or when something is, affecting me at work, I take a deep breath before I respond, and I thought, that's not a small thing, that's a big thing. So I think that's a
Absolutely.
really incredible sort of, small way. So I do feel like, stress is an important thing that, we've been able to tackle, and it's an important aspect. I want to talk a little bit about sort of nutrition and weight management, because when I think about the areas, when we're working with companies, when we're, if I'm approaching a client, an employer, and asking them what areas, or even if we do a personal health assessment, right, or we do screenings, I always feel like weight, body mass index, which is also BMI, I feel like those areas come up a lot. So maybe we should talk a little bit about kind of nutrition and weight management, and I guess maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on maybe some important aspects of weight management for employees, what they can think about.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Pretty much every client we have seen, weight management comes out, if not number one, number two, in what their employees need to be approaching and tackling.
And what they want to tackle,
and
right?
what they want to tackle.
So most
Yes.
people want to lose weight. So it's
Yes.
like, that's what I like about that, is very often we'll find that employees are looking to lose weight, and when we look at the screenings, the data shows that they need to. So it's nice that there's that awareness, right? Because you don't always see that. Sometimes, as a little bit of a sidetrack, but we'll get an HR person that'll come to us and say, we really want to tackle smoking cessation, let's say, but then when we do some assessments of the employees, we don't find that anyone else really wants to talk about smoking. So it doesn't make sense to really focus your resources there. You can't spend a lot of money on smoking cessation programs if employees really aren't ready to quit. So nutrition, physical activity, but even weight management comes up often.
Right, definitely. And I would, I think it's important to try to run a program that is suited for everybody. So I know a lot of times Weight Watchers will come on site, and that's fine, and Weight Watchers helps a lot of people, but a lot of men won't get involved with Weight Watchers. And I also think once you go off Weight Watchers, once you stop, tracking their points and things like that, a lot of times people will gain that weight back. So the program that we have that I think works very well, it's called Nutrition for a Lifetime, and that's what it's meant to be. It's not a diet that you just go on for 10 weeks or 12 weeks. This is how we want people to eat. We want to teach people about healthy eating, about exercise, about sleep, and to really get them to approach nutrition from a much bigger perspective, and not have it be just something that they stop doing at the end of class. It's what they're going to do for the rest of their life. And I see people, they'll be in my class, if it's a 10-week class, maybe they lose 4 or 5 pounds during the class, and I'm fortunate enough to run into them again a year down the road, and they've lost 20 pounds because they just kept doing what they needed to do, and they just keep, they've just changed the way that they eat, they've changed the way that they sleep, and they're a much healthier person because of it. And we get a lot of men enrolled in the classes as well, I think, because they don't feel like, oh, it's not just Weight Watchers for women, this is something that I can learn about and I can gain from.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think that the fact that we bring in registered dietitians is a much better sort of approach. It also reminds me of sort of many of the Biggest Loser programs that clients would say, would you run a Biggest Loser program? And as you know, my answer is always no. You know, you might love the show, but some of the messaging just around weight loss and appropriate, methods of weight loss. So I really just feel that, when we're talking about employee health and wellness, it's so important to really think about evidence-based practice, meaning take research and apply it to individuals and our programs, and you need to reflect that. So for nutrition, weight management, or even our team-based wellness challenges, I feel like there has to be an educational component.
Yes.
And I think you and I really share that same value, so that if we're doing a team-based wellness challenge, we're setting limits for each of the employees, let's say with regards to the healthy behaviors. So for instance, if they're going to earn points for participating in exercise, we cap that at maybe 60 minutes per day, so we don't have somebody just doing 3-4 hours on the weekend and then saying, I did everything I need to do, because that doesn't promote, as you mentioned, long-term health.
Absolutely.
Similarly, I think with weight loss as an example, I think looking at sort of an appropriate rate of weight loss within the Nutrition for a Lifetime programs, or even within our wellness challenges, I think that becomes an important key feature, I think, of all programs that has to happen with employee wellness. There has to be an educational component so that employees learn long term, what they need to do.
Right.
Another example, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, I had an employee at another firm. She said something about having joined the Biggest Loser program at her company, and she specifically and intentionally gained weight prior to the program so that she could then lose the weight and earn the money.
Yeah.
So she did that. She did just that. She actually won the whole program, but when she was talking with me, she was lamenting that she was still overweight, really hadn't learned any educational components, about a safe, methods of weight loss and long-term sort of strategies, how to maintain that.
Right, and I think one of our long-term goals is definitely to keep people healthy, not just to have success during that actual program. We want to see people get healthy. We want to see them go off their blood pressure medication, go off their, diabetes medication, whatever it may be. And also for them to just feel like they have more energy and vitality to do the things that they love to do in their life, whether it's spend time with their family or be outside, whatever it is that they enjoy doing. If you don't feel well for whatever reason, then you can't enjoy life. So.
And can you maybe tell us, of course with no names, an example or two of some clients that you've met with who's seen some nice outcomes or changes?
Absolutely. I do get a lot of emails from people, like I said, down the road after the class is out. And I got a nice one from somebody who they were in one of our Nutrition for a Lifetime classes. It was a 12-week class. They had a lot of success in that class, but a year later they had lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
They were off their blood pressure medication.
Fantastic.
And their doctor was considering taking them off their cholesterol medication. But what made the most, kind of heartwarming to me was the fact that this person said they felt great. They felt like they could go back and do all the things that they used to love to do, and they could start living their life again because they were no longer burdened by all this extra weight and taking all this medications and all these concerns about chronic disease. They were able, to kind of be their old selves again.
To me, I agree. I mean, that's how I sort of get through my days, thinking about all the employees that are affected. And you think about what a win-win, right? Because employers have to incur some expense to run wellness programs. There's some free ones out there, but often, they're off the shelf and, not cookie cutter, and they don't necessarily, focus on the employee. But so if there isn't an expense incurred, I think offering strategic, comprehensive sort of programs is really worthwhile. And so to be able to see that and hear that, I think is so incredible. It's a win-win, both obviously for the employee, right? Because always a goal in an employee wellness program is the employee's health, but then the employer can also benefit, to having an employee more healthy. So whether it's because of decreased insurance, of course if they're self-funded, but also if their employees are healthier, more productive at work, right? There's so much information and research about productivity and presenteeism. So that's a really important sort of big benefit to providing these wellness programs. So that's a great example.
And I think it makes sense to have these programs at work during the lunchtime hour. That's usually the time that works best for everybody. It sounds silly, but it's a captive audience, right? So you've got pretty much probably your entire employee population there from 9 to 5 in most cases. So why not run something at lunch that people can attend and get healthier and make improvements in their life? And that's going to improve employee morale, and it's going to improve their health, and then in the end it's going to improve their bottom line.
I find that so interesting because, again, when we've done these surveys and we ask employees, at the beginning of a program, when would you like to participate in a wellness program? And many will say, oh, I'll come in early for it, and they'll say, oh, I'll do it at lunch. And most often they'll say, oh, I'll stay after work. It's such an exciting program, whether it's a cooking demo or a nutrition class or an exercise class. And you know what I'm going to say is people don't stay after work. They say they're going to, and then boom, they run out of there because life gets in the way. They're busy.
Yes.
So I found that to be really an important factor in wellness is, to provide it, as you said, during the workday. And it's hard, we've worked with different kinds of employee groups, whether they're, at call centers or, first, second, third shift, if they're in manufacturing. So you have to have a lot of workarounds, right? You can't necessarily offer a 60-minute program at lunch. That won't necessarily work, but whether you're offering shorter 30-minute segments or online programming, you have to be so creative with today's employees, culture in order to really to make a big benefit. And I think that is such an important aspect of worksite wellness is you have to be flexible and you have to learn about each employee culture before you can design a program. There's no sort of cookie cutter approach. Makes it harder, but I think, for us, it makes it more exciting and more of a challenge to be able to figure out that culture.
Yes, because we of course always want to reach the most employees that we possibly can. So like you said, we've done it where we've run 30-minute classes instead of hour-long classes, so the people from the call centers who only get a half-hour break can come, or the truck drivers who are just getting off the road, they only have a half hour before they have to go home and get their kids, whatever it may be. And we run plenty of online options as well, because that's, if you've got 70+ locations, what can you do? You can't offer just one on-site class. You have to be able to reach all of the employees. And I think, too, in today's world, just with how busy everyone is, not everyone might have an hour to spend at lunchtime, but if they can watch a 20 or 30-minute webinar, at 9 o'clock at night before they go to bed, then that's what works for them. So I think we really try to be flexible and creative with the options that we offer clients.
That's great. I do enjoy it as well. Let's talk a little bit about technology, right? Because I think that employee wellness is growing up, if you will, and I think now that employers are not only asking for, some are requiring, some of the larger firms are requiring what we're calling verifiable measures. So we're talking about rather than having an employee say, oh yeah, I lost this much weight, or I'm a non-smoker, or my blood pressure is fine, employers are wanting some verifiable measures. So do you want to talk a little bit about some technology options that are out there?
Right, yes, we use some, and it's great. Employees really respond well to technology. They always like, all the latest gadgets and whatever's out there. And people like to track their progress too. So we have a scale and a body composition machine that can get hooked up to the computer via USB cable. People step on the scale, it uploads their weight. It's a private HIPAA protected dashboard. No one can see their weight but them. And then they hold on to the body composition machine, and it sends an electrical impedance and it measures their body composition. The men love this because they're always not so concerned what the scale says, but if they can be at a good lean body mass, then that's what they're looking for. So for them to be able to track their body composition, that is helpful for them.
And did you ever find that men just never take off their sneakers or shoes when they're weighing themselves? They just never. Women like, what else can I take off this heavy necklace? And the men are just like, well, whatever's in my pockets. They've got wallets, they've got whatever, and never take off their shoes. All right. Point made. Go ahead. Sorry.
Absolutely. They'll leave on their big work boots and their jackets. Whatever they step on.
I don't understand it, but all right.
But that's how men are. So we have that, which is really nice for the employee participating in the program, and it's really great for us to be able to get aggregate data, verifiable aggregate data, to send back to the employer and put it in a real, verifiable, yes, your employees lost this much weight. It wasn't self-reported. We know they lost this much weight. We also have a wonderful kiosk that can do the same thing if you have the space for it. And it will also do blood pressure, which is great. So people can monitor their blood pressure, which is so important for overall health and high blood pressure, and making sure that you don't have to end up with heart disease or something like that.
So as a registered dietitian with great expertise in exercise science and a great passion for sort of, brain health, do you have sort of one favorite program or class that you love to teach?
That's like saying, which child do you like the best? I love teaching Nutrition for a Lifetime. We have version 1 and 2 of that. You know, we've got, once you graduate from Nutrition for a Lifetime 1, you can move on to this sort of advanced Nutrition for a Lifetime 2. I love staying current with all of that research and teaching that. I'd say that's our most popular class. So, you know, I'm comfortable with it. But one that to me, just because it's so new and exciting, is the brain fitness class. And the few times that I have, it is very new, so I've only gone out and taught it a few times. The reaction that I get from the crowd is wonderful, because it's just, people eat it up. It's new information, and people love new information. And obviously, we all want to keep our brains healthy, but a lot of people, as I said earlier, are dealing with the elderly parent or a relative, friend, whoever it is with dementia, so now they can take these tips and go home and hopefully get, you know, their mother to eat blueberries every day and salmon or whatever it may be to help her as well. So I'd say right now, I'll go with those two.
Excellent.
But if you ask me next week, I might have another one.
And I won't ask you which of your two children your favorite.
No.
They're both adorable.
They're both, yes. They ask me all the time.
Exactly. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate all of your insights. And
My pleasure.
thank you for coming.
All right.
We'll take a break and we'll come back with some great exercise information. Welcome back, and now I'd like to share with you a favorite exercise, what you can do whether you're at your desk or in your office and feeling like you need to get the blood flowing or just haven't had a chance to work out. Here's one of my favorites. And so here we have Megan doing a hamstring calf stretch, which is just great to do at any time during the day after you've been sitting for a long period or standing for a long period. And all you do is just lean forward at the waist and keep that leg straight and just comfortably bend into the stretch. It's important while stretching to always breathe deeply and relax and just feel the muscle relaxing. Typically, if you're a beginner, you want to hold any stretch for about 10 seconds. As you become more experienced, more advanced, you can hold that for as long as 20 or even 30 seconds. You want to do that on one leg and then switch to the other leg. And again, this can be done at any time during the day. What's nice is you don't need any fancy apparatus and it'll just relax you. And the other point with this kind of a stretch is that it's really great because very often if you have tight hamstrings, which are in the back of your legs, you will feel or can feel lower back pain. So this is a really great exercise to start with. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that exercise. You can do that at home, at work. You don't need any apparatus. It's just something to help you feel good. Another thing that I have for you today to feel good is one of my special favorite superfoods, chickpeas. So chickpeas are found in many different foods and can be used in many versatile ways. People talk about the health benefits of blueberries, but I personally think that chickpeas are even a better nutritional bang for your buck. So chickpeas are healthy in so many ways. When I think about sort of an overall perfect food, chickpeas have are an excellent source of fiber, have healthy fats, good source of protein. Those are the three macronutrients. Chickpeas have also a large amount of B vitamins and water-soluble vitamins, as much potassium as a small banana. So there's so many benefits to chickpeas that if you can manage to fit them in or sneak them into your day, I think that would be a really healthy way to improve your diet, starting today. So a couple of ways that you can choose chickpeas or find them is in some of these takeaway containers. You can even take this for lunch, and my kids actually do love these. I pack them in their lunchbox a couple days a week, and it's great. You can get whole wheat pita chips with some hummus. And here, just snacking on hummus, whether you bring a small container to work or if you just have it when you get home from work before dinner's ready with some baby carrots or colorful strips of peppers, things like that. You can eat them straight, either as a little snack, or you can add them to soups and a bunch of different things. Honestly, my husband always jokes, how do I manage to fit chickpeas into most recipes? And I do. But if you're, let's say, having a lazy day, you come home from work and you just have some whole wheat pasta, you can throw in some vegetables and some chickpeas to add some protein. In the cafeteria, some places that you can manage to find chickpeas are at the salad bar. You can add them to a salad. Very often some minestrone soups or other different kinds of salads or veggie burgers you might find on the salad bar at work. So definitely one of the powerhouse foods that you should try to include on a regular basis. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Abraham Lincoln. People are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. So let's make up our minds to be healthy and happy. And thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you all again soon.